everybody. Welcome to First Glance with Jody Vance. I get to work with air quotes when I'm chatting with my good friend Rob Fai. Hi, Rob.
Hello, Jody. How are you?
I'm doing fabulously well. You and I keep like crossing paths like this. We're both working on things simultaneously and adjacent, and it's so fun to finally get to just sit and bend your ear for a second because it is time to talk a little wrestling, my friend. What
I
is
know.
news with you?
Well, you know what is news is last time that we talked, we were still kind of climbing the mountain, but I feel like we've made it to our first peak. We see that there are far more bigger mountains in the horizon, but to be able to get to the place now where our branding is on target, our fans are selling out the venues that we're getting to. This is a big deal for us because, again, wrestling's kind of one of those things where you almost feel when you're calling a prospective investor or somebody, you have to apologize. Like, hey, it's Rob from the wrestling company, boo hiss. But the reality is people are now starting to call us saying, hey, we've seen your shows. We love what you're doing and we want to get involved. So that to me was, man, to get through that first stigma was really the hardest one. And we're hoping that there's some smoother waters ahead.
Nice. Nation Extreme Wrestling is what we're talking about. NEW. If you want the short, I want a T-shirt that says NEW with the words in
I know
smaller
a guy that
writing.
can make that happen.
I will rock that. I will rock that. So last time we talked was in May of last year. So it has been a significant amount of time. I've talked about it a little bit with the guru himself, Chris Perry, because he is the big wrestling fan, and as well as you.
Big time.
The two of you are like magic together when it comes to this specific lane of sport and entertainment. You just had a show in February, right? Performance
Correct.
Works?
Yep.
Tell me about it.
What was really cool about it is wrestling's very kitschy, very nichey, and every once in a while you stumble on a venue that you're not really sure how it's going to connect with the community. Granville Island obviously is iconic in the city of Vancouver, but we weren't really sure if Performance Works, which by the way is the venue I got married in back in 2014.
What?
We didn't know if it was going to translate into wrestling. It was awesome. And the feedback that we got from the arts community, beyond the sports community, the arts community really embraced it and said, man, we can't wait to see your next show. So you'll swing and miss on certain venues, but the beauty in Vancouver is there's enough that you can just keep pushing and eventually you'll find that diamond in the rough, which we did.
I love that. I certainly wish I had been the opportunity. I was out of town at the Commodore Ballroom one that I had, secured myself a ticket to because they always sell out because the Commodore, where I had my grad celebration, like way back when, the bouncy floor, the iconic room, the views from above, I think are so amazing at the Commodore Ballroom. We got another one coming up there and it's got some big names coming.
Yeah, one of the things that I really wanted to do, and I think Chris was on board right from the jump as well, is we wanted to show that we were, willing to kind of step into other lanes. And so we went to Tokyo for our next three superstars. So the fact that in addition to showing some of the best talent from Canada, we've brought up some of the great Mexican wrestlers, United States wrestlers. This is our first jump over the pond. And to be able to bring in Minoru Suzuki, Maki Itoh, Miyu Yamashita, these are huge names in the Japanese community, which is something that I think we really wanted to try and bring to Vancouver because obviously, demographically speaking, it's what all the sports teams in Vancouver strive to do, and that's get into the Asian demographic to make sure that we're inclusive, to make sure that we're touching all of the points in Vancouver, not just the one that we're the most comfortable with. The tickets for this show were gone in the blink of an eye. And I know there's a lot of people that would go against this conventional wisdom. I don't like selling out. I want to have tickets available at the door. I want people to think, hey, man, it's Friday. I can go down and watch Nation Extreme Wrestling. Sure, it's cool from a business perspective to say that you're a hot ticket and you sell out, but I also want people to be like, hey, man, it's Friday. I'm thinking wrestling. So that's where we're at right now. We're at 1,000 seats for the Commodore Ballroom, which is the absolute capacity that they have. So we're already selling our show for May, which is our Mexican wrestlers coming to town.
Well, that no slouch to that one. That is like next level, with due respect to the Japanese team coming, as you mentioned, across the pond. But I mean, hello. I do appreciate that you like the day of ticket sale vibe. I think that's a lost art. I think that particularly in this time where you're crashing servers trying to get tickets on most days, what about people that just want to rock up to the venue and grab that ticket day of? I like that as a formula. I think that's a brilliant idea that people should steal from this First Glance with Jody Vance.
You know what? what's interesting about that, I learned that with the Vancouver Canadians, because the Canadians, which for those watching abroad, it's a minor league baseball team in Vancouver that was red hot come summertime, and people were getting frustrated that they just couldn't get tickets. So the Canadians actually went against conventional wisdom again and said, we're going to hold off X amount of tickets to make sure that they are available come show day. And that to me is something that I brought forward to Nation Extreme Wrestling, was making sure that, hey, maybe I was out of town when tickets went on sale. Maybe I didn't get paid till the week after, and you shouldn't be penalized for not being able to get it in the first 10 minutes. So that's why we've kind of tried to stretch it out to make sure that everybody got their shot at our shows.
I dig that. And I also dig the fact that while it's not broadcast live, it is available now. Tell the news on that.
Yeah, TELUS, which is a big name in Western Canada, aligned with us to bring our shows both live and a weekly show called NEW All Access. That for me was one of the first times where I looked at Chris and I said, this might be bigger than we thought it was going to be, because it's one thing to post your matches on YouTube and tweet stuff, because that's public forum. But once you have a brand that has backed you and said, you know what, we like what you're doing, you align with what we're trying to do in the community, and we're going to put our name behind you. Somebody like TELUS or Rogers or Bell, one of those big names, when they come to the table and say, we want to, kind of align our partnership with you, that's when we looked at each other and said, man, we're really, really close. So I think investment is probably something we're going to be looking at before the end of 2023, but we wanted to make sure that before we went to investors, we had our ducks in a row, and I think we're pretty darn close.
So you got to be staying tuned on Nation Extreme Wrestling, which you can do nationextremewrestling.com, bookmark that. But I agree with you. When one of the bigger companies like a TELUS, like a Bell, like a Rogers comes a knock, and they've done the math on whether or not it's sellable. They've done the math on whether or not it might become profitable, if not very profitable, for them to invest their broadcast time in. Rob Fai, you are money, my friend. Oh, it's like I dinged the bell. You are money. You're money in how you deliver your passion for the sports that you speak of, or your news talk for that matter, because you can also be heard on the radio. Speaking of big companies, I just want to shout out to the people who love you when you're filling in on the Chorus Radio Network, something that I do as well. You and I are teammates in that regard. So I dig that about you. And spring is sprung. So I think we should take in a Canadians baseball game when things fire up. How about that?
I will buy the first round.
Okay, and I'll get the 3-foot-long hot dogs. Is that what they are?
Yeah, that's 3. Go figure. That's my limit, by the way.
Right. Okay. Know your limit. Play within it. Nation Extreme Wrestling, Rob Fai. Always a pleasure. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jody.